Good morning, everyone. On Shabbos, I was in shul. There was a young man here, a wonderful young man. He didn't look himself. He didn't look his happy self. I said, "Is everything okay?" He said, "Yeah, everything's good." I said, "You don't look the same." He said, "Rabbi, I'm just struggling to become the person I want to be." So in this holiday of Hanukkah, we find a fascinating medrash. The medrash says that we know that it says that the Jewish people, when they were in the desert, they built the Mishkan. And they finished the construction of the Mishkan on the 25th day of Kislev. And they were really excited. They thought they'll build a tabernacle and God will dwell his presence upon the Jewish people. However, God said, no, we're going to postpone the actual erection of the Mishkan for more than 3 months to Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Says the Medrash something amazing. That God said to the Jewish people, I owe you one. And I owe the day of 25th of Kislev a holiday, because it could have been a holiday had God not postponed the erection of the Mishkan. So therefore, I'll give you the holiday of Hanukkah on this day of 25 of Kislev, the original day that the Jews finished building the Mishkan. And the question is, what's the meaning of this midrash? And why did God postpone? If they were ready to build it on the 25th, everything was completed, why not put it up on that day? Why postpone it to Rosh Chodesh Nisan? So there was a great rabbi before the war. He died in the concentration camps, he and his whole family. His name was Aryeh Tzvi Frummer. And he gives a very beautiful answer, and he says like this. He said, what was born in the desert on the 25th day of Kislev, when the Jews finished building the Mishkan, what was born was the desire for God's presence to rest amongst the Jewish people. They had the pining, the yearning, the desire to see it built. And God said, no, you can't actually build it. You have to wait 3 more months. So he says the following. He says, what's the difference between the desire of something and actually having it? He said, the difference is when you actually have something, you could lose it. It could be taken away from you. It could be destroyed. But your desires, your thirst, your yearning, your pining, that can never be taken away from you. So he says, therefore, God gave them on the 25th day of Kislev the holiday of Hanukkah. Why the holiday of Hanukkah? Because we know that 2 centuries after the temple was rededicated by the Maccabees and the Hashmonaim, the Romans came and destroyed the physical temple. They lost it. But what remained? One service of the entire temple, which was the lighting of the menorah. Why? Because the lighting of the menorah represents the yearning of the Jew to have light, to have truth, to have elevation and connection to God. And therefore God said, I will repay you on this 25th day of Kislev with the holiday of Hanukkah, because Hanukkah will represent throughout all the centuries, 2,000 years of exile, till the coming of Mashiach, the desire of the Jew to be reconnected to God. Just like the original 25th day of Kislev, the desire to be one with God and to have God's presence manifested was born. And therefore he says something so beautiful. He says, a desire is something so beautiful. When you have good desires, even if you can't actualize it, you can't realize it, embrace the desire for something good, because eventually it will bring to its realization. The Scheiner Rabbi says the following. He says, if a person loses their money, they've lost nothing, because money comes and goes. If you lose your health, you've lost something significant, but you still haven't lost everything. But if you lose your passion, if you lose your faith, if you lose your courage, then you've lost everything. As long as you have fire, passion, yearning, desire, courage, faith, you still have everything. And that's the significance of the lighting of the menorah. That as Jews, we never lost our faith. We never lost our courage. We lost a lot, but we never lost our faith. The experience I had, sometimes I go to prisons to visit Jewish inmates. And sometimes I have to go to maximum security prisons, which is people who committed very serious crimes, and they're usually there for life. I remember once being there, and I met a young man there in his 40s. His name was Richard. I got to know him, and he was really on fire. He was inspired. He would come learn Torah. He was really connected. And one day I got to talk to him, and he told me his story. And his story he told me was that his mother gave birth to him when she was like a teenager practically. And she couldn't raise him. So she gave him to her parents, Bobby and Zaidi, to take care of him. He said, I lived with my grandparents in New York till like age 6 or 7. And then my mother grew up a little bit. She married a non-Jew. And she came back and said, I want my child back. And took me with her, with my non-Jewish father, my stepfather, to live somewhere in the Midwest. And he says, the best years of my life was till age 7, because I had a Rabbi and a Zaidi. They loved me. They're my grandparents. We had Jewish holidays. We had the Shabbat. We had all these beautiful things. But then I went away to some other school, and I was very disturbed. I didn't get along with my stepfather. I got involved with the wrong kids in high school. One thing led to another. I got on drugs. And when I was 17, I committed a violent crime, and I got a life sentence. And he said, since then, my mother passed away, and I'm here in jail. I've been here since I'm 17 years old. He was now 44 years old. He'd been there a very long time. And he said, I never really, the rabbis would come here to do these Jewish classes. I never went. I wasn't interested. One time, he said, they were doing a Hanukkah party in the prison. And my roommate said to me, they're doing a Hanukkah party. Why don't you come? I said, I'm not really interested in Judaism or religion. He said, forget about religion. They're going to have latkes. They're going to have donuts. Come, we'll have a party. I got nothing better to do with yourself anyways. So I went. He said, the rabbi came. He talked about Hanukkah. He took out the menorah and he started to chant the blessings. Suddenly I remembered my Rabbi and Zaidi, my grandparents, lighting the menorah when I was a little kid. The memories of them lighting the menorah. And he said, suddenly I didn't feel like I was in prison anymore. I felt like I was connected to my grandparents, to Jews all over the world. And something was ignited in me. I started to cry as I had these memories of my early childhood, lighting the menorah with my grandparents. He said, ever since then, I've been on fire. I've been inspired. I've been coming to every class. I've been learning. I feel like I'm connected to the Jewish people, past, present, future, and all around the world. And I saw it right there, that you could be in the darkest place in the world. But if you still have a fire burning in you, you still have a passion, you still have faith, you still have courage, you still have yearning, you still have life. And that's the miracle of Hanukkah, and that has sustained the Jewish people for thousands of years since the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans, and will keep the flame of Judaism burning until the end of days with the coming of Mashiach.